So many families in hockey and any other competitive sports are fed this story that their players behind. They're always behind. They're never doing enough. They're doing the wrong things, and it gets overwhelming. So in this video, I'm going to walk through development trajectories through teen athletes, where that feeling of FOMO comes from, an analogy that helped me make more sense of it, especially when looking at our athletes as an investment. And when I say investment, I mean investment in their skills, character, and development as humans, as well as athletes, not just the financial ROI of them getting a scholarship. Because I get a lot of flack for that. And to me, sports goes so far beyond being paid to play or earning scholarships. It's really who we become in the process. And then finally, I'm going to lay out my trajectory as an athlete so you have a real example of how this is applied. Let's dive in. So I built this graph and I've spaced out all the ages 2 years apart, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. And then I've kept the level simple, just A, AA, AAA. I know that as you age up, it kind of falls apart because U15 AA might be better than U13 AAA. I get that, but for the sake of simplicity, I've just laid it out this way. So if you start off at 12 and say, you're playing A, you're not taking that seriously, right? By the time you're 13, you can be a bubble player called up to AA, keeping it pretty linear. Say, be 14, you make AA. 15, you stay at the same level. 16, maybe make the jump to AAA, right? 17, same level. Head into junior B for 18, right? Maybe play junior B for 2 years. 19, junior A, maybe you're starting to get called up for junior A by the time you're 20. And then really, who knows after that? Now, pretty linear progression, again, for simplicity. But here's the difference. And that's a successful career by my standards. Like, you made it out of minor, you're playing junior. Sure. I didn't want to make this too massive extreme examples because then I feel like it loses its teeth and its meaning if it's too extreme, because then we're just causing more FOMO. But say you're in A at 12, and 12 is when you start to take training seriously. You can still play other sports, absolutely. But in the summer, while the other kids are playing on the boat and playing video games and staying up playing Fortnite, you got a training plan in place. Doesn't have to be super extensive. It's more about the habits at that age. You're taking care of your body. You're getting lots of sleep. You're not on the phone too much, right? Maybe by 13, you're in AA. And then you get one extra ice time a week because you're playing a higher level, right? You're getting to play with that level of competition all the time instead of just being an AP. So that by the time you're 14, maybe you can make the jump to AAA at 14. Now you've got better coaches, more looks, more resources in place. Again, a higher level of competitive environment all the time. And that can help you progress. So, right, I missed prep in the middle here, but maybe at 15, you're playing prep. Maybe you have an opportunity to stay at prep for a year and you're APing for a junior B team. But if you can make the jump from APing junior B and playing prep at 16, junior A is a very real possibility. Maybe you enter the junior scene full force at 17. Your school's taken care of. You can focus on hockey. So now you're in junior A at 17, right? And you continue to progress there. Major junior might be in here. I know this throws off the scale, but for the sake of the example, maybe you played junior A at 18. Maybe you played major junior at 19. Now you're off to college. Or if you're playing junior A at 17 and your school's taken care of, maybe you want to go straight to college and play as an 18-year-old. When I played, I had teammates who were 18 as well, and I was kicking myself. Shoot, I played 3 years of junior when I could have just come straight to school. Granted, I definitely wasn't good enough to make a college team at 18, but beside the point, it's also possible, right? So now when we look at the gap here, right, you don't see it. They started the same as at 12. The delta between 12 and 13, not very big. The delta at 18 is massive. And that's the effect of compounding. When we went through the first example, that was still a successful career. Like, we didn't have any crazy injuries that stopped us. We didn't have any burnout plateaus. We didn't have any years that we quit because we didn't want to play hockey anymore and come back. The first example was a pretty smooth, steady career. It just moved slower in the earlier years, and the compounding didn't have as much chance to take effect. So the example that I want to use that really sunk this in deep for me is the effect of compounding. When we think of investing, we have those examples where, if you start investing at 50, you need to invest this much to retire, thousands of dollars a month to retire at 60. But if you start investing at 40, that shrinks down. If you start investing at 30, that shrinks down. If you start investing at 20, that investment to retire at 60 in the multi-millions is now a couple $100 a month. And it seems a lot more attainable. So what really shifted for me was viewing my competitive hockey years. Every single year is like 5 years of investing when it comes to compounding. Because think about it, if every 2 years is a decade, when you're 18, that's like being 50. When you're 16, it's like being 40. When you're 14, that's like being 30. When you're 12, that's like being 20. And when I made that connection between literal investing and compounding and developing athletes, it became so much clearer that it's not too early to start. It's also very apparent that it's a long game, because I didn't outline it here, but if you get to 16 and you burn out and you're done and you want to quit, you also don't get the chance to see the long-term effects of that compounding, right? And for the young athletes who watch this, it is hard to see because you have not yet experienced life beyond what you've lived, right? If you're 12 years old and you're thinking about when you're 20, that's literally 2/3 of another lifetime for you, right? And then when we flip it, instead of thinking about compounding, how much time do we have left, right? If you have until you're 18 to make a junior team and you're starting at 12, you've got 6 years, half a lifetime, right? But if you start at 14, you got 4 years, right? So it's not like you just lost 2 years. You just lost 33% of your opportunity, right? And if you compare 14 to starting at 16, right? Again, starting at 16, you don't just lose another 2 years. You lose another 50% of your opportunity. And when I started thinking about that, it's like, oh yeah, I don't have that much time. The window is incredibly small. And when I sat with that, it helped me take my development so much more seriously without feeling like I was missing out. It took away the fear and the FOMO, took away the fear that came with FOMO, and it just became a very much more logical realization that I need to give myself time to compound. And then it became more fun too, because it was like, how can I just stack investments? How can I create that positive ROI with the time I have left, rather than always thinking like, I started too late, it's not worth starting. Or thinking on the other side, you know what? I'm only 14. I got lots of time left, which leads me into my own story. That's what happened to me. So when I was 12, I was in AA. When I was 13, went up to Bantam. So I actually went to B, which we'll put here. And after those 2 years, I burned out. I felt like I was working so hard. I felt like a lot of sacrifice. I was giving up a lot of things. Quit. I went back to house, went back to rec. Right. So my trajectory actually kind of like this. And I played rec when I was 14. Like I was just skating 1 day a week. I started APing for the B team because I liked playing contact hockey, but didn't really want the commitment. Then things really started to shift for me, right? But now when we look at this gap here, that's a big gap. That's a lot to overcome. So at 15, I thought, I made the decision. I was like, you know what? I took a year off. Hockey is very serious for me. I really want to make a stab at this. I want to play junior. I want a scholarship. And I made the B team again. That year I played 3 games. I made it out of tryouts, found out I made the team, injured my hip, was off for 3 weeks, came back, second game back, separated my shoulder, was off for another 8 weeks. And then we rolled into Christmas. I think I played 1 game before Christmas just to try and get on the ice. Sorry, I didn't play before Christmas. The coach said, hey, you know what? We've only got 2 games left. Take the rest, like worth it. Come back like a lot stronger. Take the 3 weeks over Christmas break. Make sure you're ready in January. We'll use you then. Did that. Felt like I was ready. Got 1 game. Coach said, like, you know what? You're not ready. Had attitude then too. I'm not going to hide it. I didn't connect well with that coach, and I wasn't very mature. Came back. I got in for 1 game at playoffs. He said, hey, you know what? Come back ready. We'll use you for playoffs. And then had 2 games in playoffs. I didn't play either. and that was the end of my season. So it was like games basically in October and then one in January, and I was done. So a lot of comments that my body wasn't really built for hockey, that they're certainly unnecessarily mean things, but it's part of the game we play. It's part of the sport we love. But it lit a fire under me, and that spring I was like, I'm doing this. And this is where I started to get lucky. I met a coach who believed in me and saw my work ethic. And that off season, when I was 15, turning 16, I was back in Double A. And then 16 to 17, I was then in Triple A. Had 2 back-to-back really good years, very intentional years. From there, I was able to make Junior B for a year. Was captain, actually I was there for 3 seasons. And then it's off screen now, but at 21, I made the jump. Got to college, got a scholarship. Very fortunate path for me. I drew a hard commitment when I was 16 that this is what I wanted. I stopped making excuses. I started making trades and achieved the goals that I wanted to. That's when I started saying, like, I want a scholarship, and made that happen. But that steep of a trajectory is not common, and it doesn't have to be that way. If you start early, if you take it seriously, if you already know it's something that you want to do, it's not too early to start. And one thing that I'll leave you with that really helps me get my butt in gear when I have goals is when I think about the goals and the things that I want to achieve, I've never waited to start and been grateful. Like, I've never thought to myself after I map out a goal, like, you know what, if I start next month, I'm like, that'll really help me, right? If I wait till things slow down, then I'll get started. It's like when we think about compounding, like, we got to give time. And then it's like, shoot, I should have started yesterday. My message to you is, it's not too late. I've shown you here that you can go from Double A at 16, like, which really isn't even the best team in the city that I was playing in. Double A at 16 to still getting a college scholarship. That is possible. I've done it. But if you already know what you want, there's no sense in waiting to achieve it. You're only sacrificing the compound gains that you would otherwise have. I hope this helps settle some of the FOMO for you and really takes you from that position of fear to more of a position of logic. Like, this is the time I have. These are the trades that I want to make. This is how much I have left to compound towards my goals. And with that, if you know what you want, the best thing you can do is start working towards it today. So appreciate you watching this. If you're not already, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next video, because I hope you guys enjoy watching these as much as I enjoy making them. I'll see you in the next one.